Hail. So this is our war against Legion, and we got a lot to talk about in this one. For one thing, this is the first war, as far as I know, ever in any tier involving gameplay with a rank 4 Mr. Fantastic. So I'm just a little happy about that. I've taken this node before with Reed when he was a rank 3. It's a really solid matchup for him. It's just going to be better this time. I mean, I know I have Guardian on the team, but man, I'm loving how little I'm taking on these parries. That kind of thing always scales nicely. So, right away, we do not use the suppression pre-fight because we want to be able to easily push him to a special one. We do use the Petrify pre-fight to make sure Mystic Dispersion doesn't get away from us, and we use the Debuff Siphoner pre-fight just to give Reed extra attack. As I've said before, when you're using Reed himself, you need a reason not to turn on the pre-fights. You don't really need a reason to turn them on. So obviously that first little rotation is the hardest one because you haven't hit them with a special yet, which gives them power and makes the power struggle rotation that much easier. So we ended up throwing that first special one into block. That's okay. I knew that A, Reed could take the combo if he got hit, and B, I was probably going to be able to parry it as I did after he blocked it. All okay. So he did go to 10, but that's exactly why I'm using Reed here. Because with some other options, you try and control the power gain, the Fury stack. Doesn't matter with Reed, because he just keeps using that special one, and his special one is one of the few in the game that can just completely avoid the problem of Mangog's unstoppable and unblockable. There are other ways. I'm sure Doom is great here. You just have to be a little bit careful with the aura, meaning that lights don't give power. But yeah, I've used Reed before. Love using him here. Finish at 100%. Doesn't take too long. Perfect counter. So now we have this Eye Hulk. Again, taking this a bunch of times. I do throw a debuff siphoner on here. I don't have Torch on the team, so Killmonger's crits aren't going to have a 100% chance to apply those bleeds. Still worth throwing on because if we're lucky enough with the bleeds happening when we have Reverb and True Strike up, then we can actually manage to get him down to 0% before he gets 15 Gamma and completely turn off his regen. It's a pure RNG thing, but it's almost impossible without the debuff siphoner, so it's worth a shot. We're just not going to worry about it too much. Now, I try and throw the heavy right away, just to get it out of there, and then I'm parrying basically as much as possible because Killmonger has plenty of armor, doesn't take too much on parries. Even under normal circumstances, with Guardian on the team, there's no reason not to just block a ton of things. Throw the heavy close enough after the special one, it actually gets you True Strike and works towards strike counter, so we don't need to parry that one. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with parrying on this node, but that was a fun little thing. I think on this next special coming up, let's see. No, not that one, because I had already used the heavy. Notice there I only did a medium, not a medium light, because I knew where I was in the combo. There's the one. I knew going for that heavy I was too close. I don't know why I did that. It was just silly. So lose some health, not ideal, but if you are going to get hit on almost any node on the map, I recommend it on strike counter because the power just takes you that much closer to your next special and makes the node that much easier to get around. This is, of course, assuming that you have been playing the node and the opponent does not have like 8 Furies on them and just leads to them one-shotting you when they hit you. As long as you are playing the node, getting hit here should just cost you potions, not a death. Still don't recommend it, but that's why I'm not too concerned about that. So right here, I paused, I went and I dueled Spider-Ham, because while I have taken Spider-Ham and soloed him many, many times, I think he's also responsible for, like, 30% of the deaths I've had at SSx. It's not a great number. Now, I don't think that was nerves there. I think that was similar to what happened last war against iHulk, where I went for the heavy and it was slow, and so he had time to come out of the heavy and then blocked it, and thanks to stand your ground, managed to parry me. But now we're just in recovery mode. So they're eating the heavy, um, consume some of his spider nonsense, and then means that he doesn't reset to zero. So that was bad, but after that, we were just really careful to not get hit with the heavy. And then he does go ahead and reset to zero, so he's not going to evade us until we get back above a bar of power. But that's okay because, as unfun as that was, we have True Strike back up, we still have an indestructible charge, we're on top of Strike Counter, and more importantly, we are going to stay on top of Strike Counter because every time we hit him after this special one here, we get that taunt on us. And because Killmonger gains power when a debuff is inflicted on him, it's really hard for him to lose control of Strike Counter against spam. Now, you have seen a couple times here what is not so difficult is for him to get hit by spam in the middle of a combo. I hate the pig's animations so much. Those lights are just ridiculous in their reach. Not my best. Like I said, I did duel him, but I think that initial parry just had me a little bit flustered. See, there's another one. But we stayed on top of it enough. We were healing from willpower off the taunt. And then, funnily enough, he actually ended up beating himself by hitting into me, activating reverb, and just reflecting it. So, not my best fight by any means, and before I take him again, I'm definitely going to spend some time just brushing up on evading his freaking combos. But what I want you to take away from that is the importance of, if a fight against Spider-Ham goes wrong, calm down, keep yourself alive, and just try and wait out the spider nonsense for it to go back to zero. Then throw your specials, get yourself below a bar of power so that it doesn't keep climbing back up, and find your way to get the fight back under control. I'm assuming if you were fighting spam in the first place, you're using somebody who can answer him. So you just probably need that window to get back into your rotation. Have patience, don't panic, and it will come. I think knowing that makes him a lot less scary. But moving on to this Jabari, this is the Rage node on Path 6, a famous placement for anyone with a tiny health pool, because I've seen even 5 stars without big attack increases, crit and proc Rage here. It's kind of annoying. But if you use somebody like Guardian who doesn't crit, not usually a problem. We've also sent Doom here before, works great. I think we just did that last war, actually. But it worked out for me to use Guardian here. I am baiting heavies exclusively. She can be step backed where you dash back from her medium and then punish her with a medium or a light. However, I have found in my personal experience that when I try to do that against Jabari, if she does the idling forward thing and then uses a medium, it's not that I always get caught, or even that I get caught a large percentage of the time, but it is unacceptably high for me. And if she then, crits on each of those, her bleeds are strong enough that even Guardian feels them, the crits hurt, his health isn't that high. It could have been bad. So instead of that, we are just blocking full combos because it's Guardian and he barely feels them, and waiting for her heavies and retaliating. But you will notice in a couple places, she does go for the heavy in a less than normal spot, where maybe she's doing it from slightly further away, or it's right after I do something else, and it just surprises me. I'm not retaliating on those, because while there is a safe window to punish her heavy, it's fairly short. And if you are not 100% sure that you nailed it, back off and don't run in because you will get parried. And then baiting the heavy isn't helping you, is it? Because you're probably going to take a full combo where she's going to crit anyway. Now, as you can see, I probably could have perfect blocked or just avoided that last special 2 and ended at like 98% health. If I had baited a special 1 towards the end and had that debuff on me giving willpower healing, probably could have even been 100%. Doesn't matter, Guardian is an absurdly safe counter there. Just slow play it, his basics do all the work for him. So Tigra here is definitely a good placement because, you know, normally the way you die to Tigra is you end up getting hit by her specials. This node gives her more of them and makes them hit harder. Plenty dangerous. But Reed helps deal with both of those. His Petrify and Suppression means that she gets fewer specials than she otherwise would. His careful study debuffs when she throws those specials mean that they don't hit as hard as they normally would. He has a very high chance to dodge them when they're unblockable. And if they hit him, most of her damage is physical damage from applying ruptures, and Reed has a roughly 30-40% physical resistance, higher now that he's rank 4 relatively, if I remember correctly. And he'll blunt that as well. So we've already dodged one. I was hoping that she would throw this when I was a little further away from the wall, but I really don't want to lose those debuffs, so I toss that. Now she throws it. Managed to evade the first 2. Did end up evading that, but I want to point out, like I said, he has a very high chance to dodge unblockables. He has a 5% chance to evade the opponent, period, per non-damaging debuff on them. So at the time she threw that second special 2, she had 8 debuffs on her, so that's a 40% chance to evade. Additionally, because Reed is duped and that attack was unblockable, that's another 20% chance added on to that. So now we're up to 60. Then that chance goes up 3% every time the opponent tries to be unblockable. Now, I'm not entirely certain how it counts the multiple hits of Tigra's special 2s, but my suspicion, based on some rough math, is that that had counted as about the 5th or 6th unblockable attack, meaning we were looking at like a 75% chance to evade. And like I said, because we already had 2 careful study debuffs up, the damage of her special would have been reduced by 50%. Add on to that his physical resistance, and even if that evade had not worked and I had not perfectly nailed it, still basically 0 chance that I die to that. That's one of the things I love about Reed, is that both his damage and his tankiness get underestimated. He starts hitting really hard when he gets those debuffs up, but then if something goes wrong, he's just pretty difficult to kill. So absolutely loving him at rank 4. Both of these fights have just been amazing. So now we need to talk about something that really caught me off guard, because my next fight is Guardian against Ebony Maw, which I have done several times before elsewhere on the map. You guys have seen it. It works really, really well because of this line right here that says Guardian can trigger the parry mastery against non-contact attacks, which means that he can parry Ebony Maw's first medium, making him really easy to knock down with a heavy without needing to reparry, and meaning that he stays on top of Maw's falter. The thing about the fight that I'm taking now, though, is that it's the limber Miniboss, and so eventually I would lose the ability to react to those stuns because they'd get too short. What we normally do there is we use the guidance boost from Magneto House of X, because as it says here, metal and hero attackers trigger passive stun effects with the parry mastery, instead of those debuffs, and then they last longer and they're not reduced by limber. Notice that it says with the parry mastery, and if you go back to Guardian's text, it says that he triggers the parry mastery. So very clearly, those two effects should interact. You probably know where I'm going with this. So I check that all of the pre-fights are on. I'm, properly boosted, got my regen because high ground, throw on my special boosts here. You can see the 4 diamonds indicating 4 pre-fights. 3 from Reed to try and make that easier, and right at the top there, guidance boost. So everything is set up for this. We go into the fight, we got our regen. First parry, that was an active stun. And here we go again. Also an active stun, and already so short because whoever placed this, Sustich, I'm gonna say, did their job properly and placed with 5 points in Limber. Which means that on the second parry, it's already too short to respond to, which is exactly why I used that pre-fight. I never would have assigned this to myself or anybody else without that working. So, huge bummer there, because then this rapidly becomes a suicide mission. I'm having trouble getting openings, high ground is escalating, I don't have power control because I haven't been able to refresh the pre-fights from Breed. This is just really, really bad. This interaction, or lack thereof, apparently has been known for a while. I was told that it had actually just come up in a Discord server I'm in last war, and I missed that particular discussion. Or, like I said, would have avoided this. I also could have played this better, but, if you go into a fight expecting something to help you win, and then the most important aspect of that fight is no longer working, it rattles you just a little bit. So this one was a bummer. It's obviously a death. I'm not beating myself up over that one. It should work the way that it's supposed to. I mentioned that to several members of the CCP, and they said that they would pass it along to Kabam because it surprised both of them as well. Yeah, the text is very clear. Hoping that one gets updated in the next, probably not the next patch notes, because those are supposed to come out tomorrow. But, maybe a month from now, and in the meantime, I'm going to be incredibly careful with that. But luckily, we had a void right behind us. I went back in because I had all of those spare pre-fights from using Reed, dropped all 3 of them, so that Void went into that fight with 3 debuffs on the opponent, and he just completely smacked Maw. And if I had known about that interaction, that's what we would have done in the first place. So, kind of unfortunate. But the reason I am otherwise in a good mood is that Maw death was only the 6th attack bonus lost by SSx this war, and we had 2 disconnects, which, 2 disconnects and a bugged interaction causing half of our attack bonus losses is more than a little bit frustrating on the same weekend that some of us put some money down on this game, but I'm just going to put that in a box over there. The important thing is that in actual fights that worked the way everyone thought they were going to, we only died 3 times. Now, 2 of those were in my BG along with my Maw death, so we are going to work on that, but even so, I will take 2 deaths any day, and what feels like 3 real deaths, fine, we can call it 4, adding mine in. 4 real deaths overall, that's a good day. And I've known that our alliance has been capable of that all season, and we haven't done it yet. And we finally did this time, and that just feels really, really good. And I'm hoping we can hold on to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you guys enjoyed Rank 4 Reed. I also want to say just thanks to everyone who subscribed, because I recently hit 1,000 subscribers. I will have an account tour video coming out on that pretty soon. Just going over, where I'm at now, where I'm headed, and of course, thanking everyone who's helped me along the way for this. It really means the world to me. But until then, thanks for watching, and take care.